When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Acts of the 1950s and 1960s. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case Dred Scott versus Sandford. The court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate Army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency. But Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the Amendment, which gave blacks the vote. All 3 passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property and run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, himself a Democrat, notes, in effect, the Klan was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House, the racist film, The Birth of a Nation, originally entitled The Klansman. A few decades later, the only serious congressional opposition to the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 came from Democrats. 80% of Republicans in Congress supported the bill, less than 70% of Democrats did. Democratic senators filibustered the bill for 75 days until Republicans mustered the few extra votes needed to break the logjam. And when all of their efforts to enslave blacks, keep them enslaved, and then keep them from voting had failed, the Democrats came up with a new strategy. If black people are going to vote, they might as well vote for Democrats. As President Lyndon Johnson was purported to have said about the Civil Rights Act, I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years. So now, the Democratic Party prospers on the votes of the very people it has spent much of its history oppressing. Democrats falsely claim that the Republican Party is the villain when in reality it's the failed policies of the Democratic Party that have kept blacks down. Massive government welfare has decimated the black family. Opposition to school choice has kept them trapped in failing schools. Politically correct policing has left black neighborhoods defenseless against violent crime. So when you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party should come to mind? I'm Carol Swain, professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University for Prager University.
I always appreciate playing that for individuals, and every time I listen to it, man, I hear something new. I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to play it again because individuals just don't get it, and they don't get it because they don't want to get it. So hello, y'all. Welcome to this thing. It is Monday. It is the 4th of January, 2021, and I want to reiterate something. It's not something brand new to my conversation archive. It's something that I want to talk about because I had an old friend of 27 years catch up to me over the weekend, and I was talking to her about some things, and I was just shocked. I was shocked because when you're an introvert, what you do is you kind of exile yourself from the normal climate, and you live in a higher climate of consciousness, that is consciousness, and you speak about things and you don't really understand the detriment of individuals that aren't awoke. So we're gonna talk about that this morning. So I want to talk about what you just heard. What you just heard is a woman, a black woman, and I must emphasize a black woman because it is amazing how I turn to women of color for a lot of information about women of color, but when I speak about it, I'm the hated one. But that's okay, y'all. I'm thick-skinned. I can deal with it. And trying to talk me out of what I believe, you're not smart enough. I'm just going to be arrogant and tell you that. But Carol Swain, a professor of political law science, said and told you, and she started it off with, when you think about the Republican Party, when you think about interracial equality, what party comes to mind? Some of you will say the Republicans, but that answer, in fact, is wrong. And then she went on and told you nothing good about the Democratic Party. Now, here's the amazing thing about idiots. I mean, people. They are under the impression that was before and this is now. And they are under the impression that, nope, the Democratic Party is a good party. The Democratic Party have some, let me do my dance, some good features about them. So let me speak for about 15 minutes, and I'm gonna play that again, take some notes from it, come back, play it again, take some notes from it, because I want to really touch bases on the full spectrum of what Carol Swain was just educated us about. That woman just told us that the only reason, the sole reason for the Republicans Party inception was to stop slavery. So let's take the Republican Party out of history. Where would you be as a black person? You'd still be a slave. You still be running around here talking about the white man this, the white man that. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't be talking. You wouldn't be. Our women that they're supposed to love us so much and stand by us wouldn't be saying take him down in front of the white man. She'll be saying, when a white man come in my cabin tonight and me, I'll tell him that my buck didn't do what I asked him to do. She'll be saying, when my white man baby daddy come into my cabin tonight and fuck me and rape me, I can tell him then. See, it would be we would be in a situation where there will be no need for a domestic relations section in court because we'd be suppressed. For all you individuals that are running around here and thinking it's necessary to commit a crime, then get caught committing a crime, and then say the white man give me more time than they give a white person, you wouldn't say that. You would say, I left off of the plantation. I got a marking fried on my face as a runner, and I got whipped in front of my woman, and I got whipped. So if you take Republicans out of the equation, I guess that's what I should have named the video. Taking Republicans out of the equation, since there are individuals that insist. Give me a second. There are individuals that insist on loving to say, well, Donald Trump is racist, and that in fact is a hypothetical. But these individuals can't not imagine or won't imagine how life would be for black people had it not been for the beautiful Republicans that did more from us. I want to be clear when I say this. I'm about to drop a bomb. I'm about to have a lot of individuals mad at me. The Republican Party has done more for white people than the Bible. Holy smokes, did he say that? Yeah. The Republicans has done more for black people than the Bible. Oh gosh. Or should I say, oh God, pun intended. But for some reason, when you talk to individuals today, that's left out of the equation. And it's left out of the equation out of convenience. What that woman said was the sole purpose for the Republican Party was to stop slavery. That's what she said. So imagine you getting taken down for child support? Nope. You know why? There would be no need for child support. You know why? Because when you have a kid, the white man is going to take them. And sometimes they take your kid and feed them to alligators. Well, that's what the Democrats were standing on. Yeah, you didn't know they used to feed black children to alligators? Oh, but you love your kid, right? Yeah, you find it convenient to want to exile this perspective out of your love for Democrats. People, I am confused. And with my intellect and with my IQ, that takes a lot. I'm not understanding how one black person could even think about voting for a Democrat. Now, let me come in today's moment for a second. When I was talking to this woman over the weekend, this is a woman that last year when we was talking, she said the state of New Jersey just approved college for illegals and our property taxes went up because of it. And I said to this woman, I said, I bet your governor is a Democrat. She said, yep. Still, with her property taxes going up, still. I talked to her over the weekend. She has full-blown still Donald Trump hate. So let me tell you some true stuff. The governor of New York said that I'm going to make it mandatory that everybody take the COVID vaccination. And your white racist Donald Trump is what you black folks like to call him. There's something I'm talking to all the black people that are citizens of the state of New York. What your white racist Donald Trump said was, if that's your plan, I'm not going to send it the vaccine. I'm not going to give you funding. I'm not giving you anything for the vaccine. Now that's what happened. That's not a hypothetical. That's not some racist something that Donald Trump said back in the 80s. That was Donald Trump's response. Still, you individuals run around here and you say, Donald Trump is racist. I'm confused. I'm confused. People, I'm kicking facts at 100%, but you call me the hated one. Well, let me earn my hate. I'm going to be a hate earner today. So let us get back to the hypotheticals. If the Republican Party was not created, I navigate myself through society and I hear a lot of individuals, both black and whites, but I'm talking about black people. A lot of black people, it's most of the time, it's individuals that had a driver's license, lost their driver's license, they want to reclaim their individual sovereignty. They want to reclaim their straw man. Well, guess what? If there was no Republicans, you would have never been driving. Did you see the movie Django Unchained? What happened when Jamie Foxx's character, Django, went to that plantation? And what did that house nigga say? He wasn't concerned with nothing else. He was like, who that day on that day? Who that day on that day? And he was very, very non-compliant with his white master, because at that time he was in full house nigga mode and he wanted to show his master, I'm for you and I'm gonna go against you, and I'm gonna be very irritable because there's a black man riding a horse. So let us now take that perception into 2021. If there was never Republican, excuse me. Wash my mouth out with soap every time I say that word. Let us then fast forward into 2021. If there was never a Republican Party, you would be walking around with your head down, probably pushing a wheelbarrow on a plantation, looking at a car, and then you would probably be somewhere in the perspective of Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. And Eddie Murphy was saying, what that man gonna do? He gonna let you drive a car. Yeah, I hope you take the long one. Yeah, that's where we would be. What's going on, Deshaun? I want to salute you again for that $10 contribution via my Cash App, and Merry New Year to you too, brother. Thank you so much for that. That's where we would be. There would be no black people driving cars. You would be on your plantation. You would have to ask your white master, could you have a wife? You would ask your white master, could you have sex? You would ask your white master, after he finished raping your woman, could you have sex with her? This is life had it not been for Republicans. But individuals don't want to understand that. Could you name one other time after the Emancipation Proclamation, could you name one other time that the Democrats had an option to take a turn and stand on the inception of understanding that blacks are people too? They still don't see blacks as people too. Oh, they have accepted helping women of color understand that they are people too, giving them all kinds of trinkets and all kinds of gifts. This is spoke about by Mrs. What's her name that there? Sister Shahrazad Ali in the book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding a Black Woman. I did not make it up. But I'm talking about, I don't understand how you could possibly be a Democrat if you're a black person and must be a Democrat if you got a career or 9 to 5. Now, there's a lot of individuals that are new or just getting here. So please allow me.
Racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Acts of the 1950s and 1960s. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case Dred Scott versus Sandford. The court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate Army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency. But Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the vote. All 3 passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region, blacks to own property and run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, himself a Democrat, notes, in effect, the Klan was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever.
So what are we going to take what that woman just said? I'm gonna play it, take notes, come back. That woman just said that the Democrats fought against every major civil rights initiative. Against it. So I want to take this and make it in parallel to something else. But let me just say this. There's a lot of people that misunderstand or don't understand what a political party is. So let us look at parties. People, if I had a pizza party, would it be a birthday cake there? No, it'd be a pizza party. If I had a birthday party, wouldn't it be a birthday cake there? Yeah. When you name the party, that's what it's about. Specific. So if I was throwing a pizza party and I ordered a baker to that pizza party, when he comes to my pizza party, do you think he's going to bring muffins? Do you think he's going to bring cake? No. He's going to join my pizza party and he'll help with slicing the pepperonis or he'll help giving out. But once he joins my party, he's down with my initiative. He's down with my movement. If you take a guy that, you know, the pizza dough bread guy, person, people, I don't know what they're called. Stop laughing at me. If you take the pizza dough person guy person and he's doing a thing and you say, hey, you coming to the birthday party? I'm going to need your help. You think he's going to come there with a whole bunch of balls of dough and be ready to do that fancy stuff? Nope. When he comes to the birthday party, he will assume every perspective of the birthday initiative. Now, this is going to be real crazy for you black individuals. It's going to be real crazy. I'm going to break something down for y'all. All right. It's going to be real crazy. So once again, remember. Oh, hold up. Once again, if I invite someone to my party, I'm having a pizza party, and I invite a doughboy from a pizza parlor, a baker, excuse me, to my pizza party, he will not bring pepperonis, etc., etc. He is now going to come to my birthday party as a pizza dough maker person, people, and he's going to assist me because I'm going to say, hey, I need your help. I'm going to have a birthday party for my kid, blah, 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 blah. I'm having a pizza party. I'm messing up. Let me start over. If I'm having a pizza party, I'm not going to, if I invite a baker to help me to my pizza party, that baker is not going to bring muffins, etc., etc. If I have a birthday party and I invite a dough person, pizza dough person, he does the fancy thing, spin the dough and all that, and I invite him to help me with my birthday party, he's not going to bring balls of dough. Now, the reason why I had to say that is because a lot of you individuals, you're not too bright. You're not wired too tight. And here's what I mean when I say you're not wired too tight. A lot of black folks are under the impression that because President Obama was a black guy, that he was going to do things for black people. Give me a minute. I get lightheaded every time I think of that stupid narrative. Okay. So, when you understand a party, you understand that everyone in the Democratic Party is all for the Democratic initiative. And the Democratic initiative is that they want power, just like Hitler. They was formed in times where they wanted to rule. That's why you cannot put in your search bar the unfortunate negative history of Republicans. And you can put it in there, I'm sorry. You can't put the unfortunate negative history of the Republicans. But something strange is gonna happen once you hit enter. All Democrat videos are gonna show up. There's not one negative history Republican video I've seen when I last checked about a month and a half ago. I want to be clear. Not one. But when you look at the unfortunate negative truth of the Democrats, hold on to your seats. You'll get bored. As a matter of fact, you need to take a couple of months off from your job if you decide you want to go ahead and read all the literature. Okay? I just want to tell you that up front. So stop thinking, please, black people, stop thinking that President Obama, because he was a black guy, that he had a different initiative other than the history of the Democrats. And if you don't want to say, if you want to say that's not true, I don't believe you, blah, 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 he helped initiate sexual homosexuality. He helped that, and he helped destroy this country by extending NAFTA. When you're educated, if you can wrap your intelligence level to understand those two things, talk to me. If you don't understand that, if you want to say, yeah, he extended NAFTA, but conversation's over with. Your intellect, dumb as a brick. All right. So, all right, just want to get that out of the way. I want to help you guys understand the specifics of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and the term party in itself, okay? Excuse me. Stop thinking that just because that's a Democrat or a Republican, that a Democrat, once you like him and everything, and that person runs for a Democrat, stop thinking that now they're going to inject their own initiative. The party is already being, and President Obama was invited and said, okay, I'll do such and such. This is why, for all you individuals, that says that President Barack Obama was the best president we've ever had, please, I just hope you don't have children. All right. All right. I hope you don't have no kids. All right. So let's now talk about the Democrats. Let's talk about the Democrats. I always got to take a side. I got to take a side because when I say Democrat, I just get off keel. And please, by all means, just let me know when I'm wrong. What that woman, Carol Swain, professor of political law science at Prager University, what that woman said, that the Democratic Party was against every major civil rights initiative. They were against it. So, if the Democrats was against every major civil rights initiative, that wouldn't, and you vote for a Democrat, that would be understood if you were a white person. Not saying that that white person is a racist, but it would be understood if you're a white person, because the Civil Rights Initiative really had nothing to do with your fight. Right? So let me put something in parallel. I have individuals that told me I don't like Republicans because Republicans give you more time for the same crime that black people do over white people. Now you may think that you may think that I'm maybe sounding hypocritical when I say this, but committing crimes is not my arena, so I really don't care about that. I would ask them to triple it because I really care for black people and I want black people to not do crimes. I do not care about, I want to be clear about something. I do not care about, well, when white people do it, blah, 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 and then when black. I don't care about that. I don't. And I don't care about that because I love black people. I don't want us doing rights. Give it to me. Lucky 7. God dang it. I don't want us doing crimes based on saying, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get mad because white people get less time for the same crime. Whatever. So the Democrats fought against every major civil rights initiative. And they stood on it. And they stood firm on it. So much to the point where they went to war for it. What that woman just said was the Democrats started the Civil War. Now, the only reason why you don't understand the importance of that is because you don't know history. And it doesn't mean nothing to you. But it should if you're a black person. You see, we always want to, and it's amazing. Um, when I got introduced to the Willie Lynch letter, I was told that the reason why black women act the way they act, the reason why they take black men down in front of the white man, is because they're still under some spell by the Willie Lynch letter. This is what I was told. That was something that was told to me. And you can travel through YouTube and you can see various individuals saying the reason why black women are the way they are, because we are divided, is because they're still under the spell of the Willie Lynch letter. The Willie Lynch letter was a letter that was written that taught individuals how to keep slaves in control. You break the man in front of the woman, you get the woman to be in line. This is what I was told. If you believe that, not even going to say nothing bad about you. I don't believe that. I believe that we are working with the tools of what we got today. When I was talking to my friend over the weekend, she kept referring to history. I said, you got to understand, the blacks of then dealt with those issues. You know why? If Malcolm and Martin was living today, they would not sound as though what they did as they sounded back in the 50s and 60s, because the problems are nothing like the same. We as black people are doing it to ourselves. That's another story. But if Democrats fought against every major civil rights initiative, where exactly has that changed? Where has that changed, black people? Point out point out the time, the president, the party, the period. Point out any time to me where the Democrat initiative has changed from uplifting black people to understanding black people from being against the civil rights initiative. Now, what the Democrats have under their belt is standing on their facts and their issues so strongly that they went to war. We were a country torn, north and the south. South saying, nope, we want to keep our slaves. Hell, I got 100 acres. I want to keep these niggers doing what they doing, blah, 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 yada, 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 etc., etc., etc. And the North saying, nope, we want to start a new chapter in America. We want to turn the page on this dark history in our life. And the Republicans said, this is not what we want to be about anymore. We at the time when President Abraham Lincoln had his Republican as a Democrat, as a Republican, he had a Democratic vice president. And we all know what happens when something happens to the president. The vice president then assumes the Oval Office. This is why they killed Abraham Lincoln. And then once this man was killed, the Democratic president that came in office was trying to undo everything that Mr. Abraham Lincoln had done. So I'm a bit confused once again on the perspective of black people. I'm confused. And the funny thing is, when I'm confused and I speak about it, nobody comes and challenges me. But my man Deshaun is here, and he says, crazy how blacks get mad at folks basically profiting off of our faults and wrongdoings, but won't change and correct the faults and wrongs. So what he's just saying is he's making reference to when I just said about how somebody told me that the Republicans made longer crimes for black people, but for some reason, what Deshaun is saying, you won't even stop doing the crime in its entirety. So let me read it again. Deshaun said, crazy how blacks get mad, folks, basically profiting off of our faults and wrongs, but won't change and correct the faults and wrong. Yeah, that'd be about right. That'd be about right.
When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Acts of the 1950s and 1960s. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case Dred Scott versus Sandford. The court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate Army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency. But Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the vote. All 3 passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property and run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, himself a Democrat, notes, in effect, the Klan was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House, the racist film, The Birth of a Nation, originally entitled The Klansman. A few decades later, the only serious congressional opposition to the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 came from Democrats. 80% of Republicans in Congress supported the bill, less than 70% of Democrats did. Democratic senators filibustered the bill for 75 days until Republicans mustered the few extra votes needed to break the logjam. And when all of their efforts to enslave blacks, keep them enslaved, and then keep them from voting had failed, the Democrats came up with a new strategy. If black people are going to vote, they might as well vote for Democrats. As President Lyndon Johnson was purported to have said about the Civil Rights Act, I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years. So now, the Democratic Party prospers on the votes of the very people it has spent much of its history oppressing. Democrats falsely claim the Republican Party is the villain, when in reality, it's the failed policies of the Democratic Party that have kept blacks down. Massive government welfare has decimated the black family. Opposition to school choice has kept them trapped in failing schools.
Welfare has decimated the black family. I'm not on that right now. I'm not on that right now. I'm not on that now. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. What that woman just said, what's going on, David? I see you, my man. What that woman just said, she's saying it, not me. Don't get mad at me. What that woman just said was, the Democrats defended slavery. The Democrats defended it. Appreciate those thumbs up, y'all. So what does that mean when she say the Democrats defended slavery? She also said that the Democrats imposed a poe tax. A poe tax. You poe? We gonna tax you. You already ain't got no money, but we're gonna implement a poe tax. So we're gonna talk about that. So if you defended slavery or have any history of defending slavery, how then do you now stand and say, I am for black people. I want to help black people. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. Okay. How do you say, I want to help black people, I'm for black people? Battery was going dead. I'm helping black people, I'm for black people, etc., etc. How is that? When did your agenda change? When was the announcement? When was the announcement that the old? When was the announcement that the old regime is out? The Democratic Party is under new management. When was that ever announced? When was that ever announced? Because I missed it. I didn't miss it. You know why? Because it never was actually, it was never put out there to be missed, to be recognized. It was never put out there. It is amazing. Once again, it is amazing. It is so amazing to listen to a black person talk about the Democrats like I heard this weekend. It is amazing. It is amazing. It's amazing. It is amazing. If you're gonna say you don't like them, then don't tell an educated person, because I don't like them. And here's a classic: they're both bad. That means you're not educated. That's what that means. That means you cannot go deep into an intellectual conversation as to why one is better than the other. As a black person, what I'm saying is, I mean, let us look at this like this. How many of you out there? How many of you out there? How many of you out there? If a person told you they were HIV positive, how many of you out there will engage in sexual activity with them? Nope. You would say, I don't want to hear nothing about nothing. You would say, no, no, I don't want to hear it. What I'm simply trying to say is, when someone tells you something, you will never ever unhear it. You will never unhear it. You will never unhear it. You will listen to something and you would say, hey, listen, somebody said that blah 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 blah. He's seen him at the AIDS rehab clinic or whatever. You will say that. You'll say that. But you can listen to. I'm listening to individuals talk about the Democratic Party, and I'm saying to myself, this is an uneducated individual. I just thought about it when I said it. I wasn't thinking about this over the weekend. But it is amazing to listen to somebody and chooses, well, they're both bad, or to say, it is amazing to listen to somebody and say, as opposed to a person saying, well, I didn't know that. Everything you throw at them is saturated with, well, this or well, that. The Democrats defended slavery. So let me help you understand what it means when someone defends something. People, my mom has defended me and my company. She's defending the actions that Atia LaShawn Bradley did. My mom is defending her actions. So that meant all the bad that Atia Bradley did to myself and her daughter, my mom is defending the fact that I talk about that. By my mom doing that, I haven't spoken to my mom since. When someone defends something, they come to their defense. I'll defend you. I've noticed over the years when I talk about any type of man other than a black man, I've noticed that I've always had an influx of women that will defend anything other than a black man. And then I would say, well, that's not a man. What you dealt with was a bum. What you dealt with was a booty out nigga. What you dealt with was an ex-con. What you dealt with, and it's like, it fries into the brain when the hated one speaks, because they defend it out of the fact they dealt with it. When someone defends, that means they agree with it. Point blank, simple, and plain. She also said that the Democrats enforced a poll tax. That's what she said. So the Democrats imposed a poll tax. I find that to be amazing. That is amazing. I find that to be amazing. That's amazing. That is. How then do someone get in your good grace? Because, like I had told this individual over the weekend, you are borrowing the perspective of the past, and you're ignoring what they're doing today. See, I'm seeing what Democrats are doing today, and I'm connecting it to their past. Black people are ignoring what the Democrats did in the past out of convenience, and totally don't want to acknowledge what they're doing today. It's a disbelief of what they did today, of doing now, and a non-acknowledgement of what they've done in the past. I find that to be amazing. I do. I find that to be amazing. I do. People, what you hear when you listen to me is you hear a person that will tell you time and time and time again, the forces of good needs all the help it can get. Do not oppose me with a jacked up narrative under the context of, yeah, but blah, 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 blah. No, because when you go buy a Mercedes-Benz, you don't get a free hoopty with it. You don't go buy a Mercedes-Benz and the Mercedes-Benz say, you know, the reason why we charge you all this money is because you're getting a free hoopty to go along with it, so you can just sit down there and compare the contract. No, when as a person with my morals and my intellect, I speak from that and to spew that out there because that's what I believe. Under the context of my intellect, what I say and what I always say is, the forces of good needs all the help it can get. That's what I say. The forces of good needs all the help it can get. That is what I say. I've been standing on that for decades. And I will continue to run into people that want to inject a sideshow narrative to try and offset my point. I will not sit for that. I won't sit for that.
When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Acts of the 1950s and 1960s.
Okay. People, I had the pleasure of navigating myself around social media, and I seen a couple of videos that just was made recently covering tracks. Hold on a second. And those videos that I seen that was made recently is now saying that the Democrats did not the Democrats did not start the KKK. Okay. This is now is not in parallel to what was previously said about the Democrats. So now what is being said is that the Democratic Party did not start the Ku Klux Klan, but the Ku Klux Klan said that they were in fact a militant organization that was created to enforce the perspective and the mission statement of the Democrats. And for all of a sudden to now navigate myself around YouTube and see that now all of a sudden these this part of history is conveniently want to try and be changed. I find that to be quite strange. I find that to be quite strange, and quite frankly, I just disagree. I don't believe it. People, you know what made Mike Tyson? Do you know what made Mike Tyson a good boxer? You know what made him a good boxer? What made Mike Tyson a good boxer was the fact that Mike Tyson overwhelmed you with brute force. I don't think he overwhelmed you with speed. I think you was overwhelmed. I think Mike Tyson overwhelmed you with the fact that when he hit you, it felt like you got hit by a freight train. So what happened is when individuals would get into the ring with Mike Tyson, they were under the impression that it would be business as usual. I'm going to throw my jab. He's probably going to come up under my punch because he's 5'8" shorter. He's going to come up under my punch. Mike Tyson was good for going up under the dab, coming with an uppercut. He was good for that. And a lot of individuals got overwhelmed. And Mike Tyson even made the comment that when he punched people, he heard them going, ah, like they would try to brace their breath to the punch. Like they would literally try to hold their breath like, ah. And Mike said when he would hit him, he would hear him, ah, like he would hear him. I like what Deshaun said. He said young Mike was fast and powerful. I stand corrected. So that when I'm speaking of overwhelming, that's what the Democrats wanted to make sure. The Democrats wanted to make sure that you were overwhelmed with fear. Why do you think she said? And how do you think they enforced? By fear. By the Ku Klux Klan. Started by a Democrat. That's why the Ku Klux Klan was formed. They was formed to invoke fear. When you look back on all the times in history about slaves, you will see a Klansman in the picture to sell the historical perspective of slavery. And that was a direct connection with Democrats.
Contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case Dred Scott versus Sandford. The court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate Army surrendered, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew.
If you want to believe that the gentleman that assassinated Abraham Lincoln, if you want to think that it's a coincidence that he was a Democrat, I feel sorry for your kids. Yeah, I feel sorry for your kids. Let her continue.
Johnson assumed the presidency, but Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the vote. All 3 passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property and run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest, and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest, by terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, by terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As his Ku Klux Klan, founded by terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest.
People, that woman is speaking for a university. That woman is not speaking to her peeps. She's not meaning. She is speaking for a university. Now, what does that mean? It's the same thing. It means the same thing that I basically said earlier. When you decide you want to belong to a political party, it don't matter what your agenda is. You're not going to join the Democratic Party and say, hey, I want blacks to have a better life. It's not how that works. You are going to join the political party and you're going to assume the agenda of that party. You don't join a political party. You don't join you can't join the Republican Party and say, I want to start hating blacks despite what you think. So I want to start making it hard for them. I want to start doing all these things. That's not what their rhythm is. But you claim that Donald Trump is racist as a Republican. But you will listen, and you got enough ammunition and enough historically, you got enough ammunition both historically and currently to make a determination to see that, in fact, the Democrats are the worst party, especially if you're black. But for some reason, individuals just don't get it. You don't get it out of convenience. That's why you don't get it. You don't get it because it makes sense. What you don't want is you don't want things to make sense. When things make sense, how dare you? You know, in the black community, it seems as though we just want to be walking around into this thing, into this. Listen, I am here to raise your climate of consciousness. People, we don't have conscious rap like we used to. It's now replaced with my booty's big, I pop my booty, I twerk my booty, and yo, motherfucker, I this, I that. That's what it's replaced with. That's rap music nowadays. We have now allowed individuals to say, I was a stripper and get millions of followers, and this is what rap music has come to. This is why I don't listen to it. You can listen to it all you want. I don't listen to it. I think lowly of it. I'm gonna leave it at that. I like conscious rap. I love it when we all can be in harmony. I love when a black person can speak of something positive and not be rebutted with garbage. It is amazing how everything stupid just flows. Everything that seems to be constructive criticism and everything that seems to be of a righteous intent seems to be rebutted with, you guessed it, 100% pure grade A garbage. Let us listen some more.
Shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House the racist film The Birth of a Nation, originally entitled The Klansman. A few decades later, the only serious congressional opposition to the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 came from Democrats. 80% of Republicans in Congress supported the bill, less than 70% of Democrats did. Democratic senators filibustered the bill for 75 days until Republicans mustered the few extra votes needed to break the logjam. And when all of their efforts to enslave blacks, keep them enslaved, and then keep them from voting had failed, the Democrats came up with a new strategy. If black people are going to vote, they might as well vote for Democrats, as President Lyndon Johnson was purported to have said about the Civil Rights Act. I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years. So now the Democratic Party prospers on the votes of the very people it has spent much of its history oppressing. Democrats falsely claim that the Republican Party is the villain, when in reality, it's the failed policies of the Democratic Party that have kept blacks down. Massive government welfare has decimated the black family. Opposition to school choice.
Welfare has decimated the black family. The Democrats will come up with every time you turn around, the Democrats will come up with a new perspective on a Give Me program. So let's talk about welfare for a second. Whenever I talk about welfare, 100% of the time, I get a woman of color saying, yeah, but there are women that need it. Okay. You can believe that theory if you want to. Oh, wow. So once again, what that woman just said was welfare has decimated the black family. What's going on, 10,000? Welfare has decimated the black family. How come it doesn't do the same thing to white people? Well, how did it do this to black people? Okay, so whenever I say there is no need for welfare, I will always get 100% of the time, I'll get a woman of color that said, well, there are individuals that need it. Because remember I said they think together as one unit. So then I got to hit them with some stats. And then I'll say, well, actually they don't. Well, yes, they do. How come the number one people that are on welfare are women of color? Second, the disabled. The elderly. Third, the disabled. So let me run that down by you again. These are stats. The number one individual on welfare are healthy black women. Number two, the elderly. Number three, the disabled. So if you could ever find out how is it that a healthy woman of color needs more than a disabled woman, please leave your comment under the damn video. So let me take a stab at why. When Mr. Woodrow Wilson said, I'll have these niggas voting for Democrats for the next 200 years, the way he did it is the Give Me program. And then what happens is when you create the Give Me program, then individuals run around here and they will put themselves in a way to get a Give Me. You know what I mean? They're going to put themselves in a way to get a Give Me. Oh, dear my. Oh, I got kids, so I need a Give Me. Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened. This is why, let me tell you something, people. Whenever you see stupidity, you must stop and take a look and see what exactly is financing it. Oh my gosh. Let me say that again. Whenever you hear and listen and see whatever, whenever stupidity is present, you must stop and ask yourself what exactly is financing it? What's supporting it? What am I talking about? Well, Woodrow Wilson said, I'll have them niggas voting blacks for the next 200 years, right? People wars was won by simply giving countries things. Yep. That's how a lot of Spanish colonies was taken over. They simply just rolled up to their shores with gifts, not tanks, gifts. How do you think they got things from the Indians? They gave them. So this perspective don't work in the black community? Of course it does. So what happens is All they did was saying, we'll give black women welfare. We'll come up with a law to give them the children no matter what. This is why I tell y'all, I don't understand how you allow a woman on Section 8 and welfare to get custody of the kid. That's another story. But this is what happens. They give the woman, because let's be clear, whenever you want to break up something, you go to the weakest link. But they'll claim they're strong. Stats doesn't show this. This is not what I'm saying, people. This is what stats are showing. Okay? These individuals get welfare, but this is all under a plan. Welfare is what it is today under a plan. This is a planned attempt. This is a planned effort. The welfare program didn't come about because they looked and said, well, black women are going to need. Nope. It came about to divide us. That is what she just said. Massive welfare programs has decimated the black family. So now we get, I don't need a nigga, I'm strong. So check this out. Take it from me, a person that is a victim of this world-class stupid idiotic logic. Atia LaShawn Bradley replaced her daughter's father with a program. Yeah. I was replaced with a program. Yeah. When you stop and look at the perspective of me, I was replaced with a program. People, I'm trying to tell you something. If you ever was working at a job and you went to training to be a supervisor, you'll learn the mind games of control. You'll learn. I'll give you an example. When I went took a supervisor's course, here's what they tell you to do when a person calls out sick. Bring, hey Chris, I'm calling out because I'm real sick. I've been throwing up all night and I'm on my way to the hospital. I'm not supposed to say, okay, be well, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe the day after. Hey, listen, get well. That's not what you're told to say as a supervisor. As a supervisor, you are told to say, so after you go to the doctors, what time are you coming in? That's the control. It's control you. After you go, hey, listen, I'm out here on the highway. I was on my way in. Somebody sideswiped me. Man, I'm all messed up. After they tow your car, what time are you coming in? You don't think they sat down in a lab in their easy attempt to split up black folks and say, the way to split up black people is the same perspective in the Willie Lynch letter. Show them that we are going to destroy their men and run to us. So let me help y'all understand the perspective of Atia LaShawn Bradley. Why do you think I keep her name in my mouth? I keep her name in my mouth because I'm daring her to. I'm daring her to ever take me down to court. She knows already. She knows when she takes me to court, I'm in my elements. People, when I go to court, I told them twice out of the 25 times I've been, there ain't a person in this building smarter than me. And I said that while in court talking to a judge. There's no law against saying that. That's what I said. I don't go there like the perspective that the average. So Atia LaShawn Bradley knows taking me down, let me do my dance, taking me down in front of the white man doesn't work on me. It don't work. I'm Todd's son. So the perspective in the community by what that woman just said, welfare has decimated the black family. Who are the recipients of this welfare? You can go ahead and say, and this is what a lot of individuals said, my brother said this, and when my brother said it, that's when I went and did the stats. My brother said, well, you know, this is my oldest brother. King dummy number one, Todd Smith. Well, that's a dummy if I ain't never met one. At least my other brother, Donnell, the one that did the thing with my dad. He's not dumb. I can't call that dude a dummy. He has high intellect. But my oldest brother is King Dummy number one. Boy, if you, hey, listen, I'll have a dummy contest and put my brother Todd up against any dummy you know. I'll put that guy up against any dummy you know. I'll put my brother up against that. That dude is a damn dummy if I ain't never heard one. Please allow me to continue. But this dude said there are more white people on welfare than blacks. This is what everybody says. This is what everybody says to try and do the old, but white people. So let me say it again and quote me on it, bank on it, even bet me if you want. The number one recipients to welfare is black women. Number two, the elderly. Number three, the handicapped. Okay? Quote me on it. All right? All right? I did a video on it. I'm going to dig up the video, show you the stats. All right? But why is this the case? People, this is the case because it was designed to be that way. Whenever, once again, whenever stupidity, whenever stupidity has rear its ugly head, you got to stop and realize what's financing it. And what's financing the narrative of take him down in the front of the white man, my kid's going to be all right. My kids don't need no daddy. Welfare is the sole heir, or child support, a program, is the sole heir, put in place by a Democrat, the sole heir of that, affording that stupidity and that stupid perspective. Well, it's a program. It is. It's a program. Now, some individuals are going to say, well, my friend got a good job and she don't need. Okay, so let me help the dummies that got that stupid narrative. Because Atia Bradley was saying the same thing. So I want to be clear. You're going to bear all the burden and financial responsibility of something that two people created. Okay, so if you got an individual, my friend got a good job and she don't need no man. Well, what she needs is to be educated. If that's her perspective, what she needs is education. Because that is the dumbest perspective in the history of dumb. It's my brother first, Todd Smith first, that dummy, and then that right up under it. Oh, man, I just crack myself up. I really do. I like what my man Dave said. He said the Democrats are about breaking up black families. Yup, this is why they invoked Black Lives Matter with a tranny perspective and how they don't support black men. It is amazing. And I want to say something because I did 2 videos. People, if you navigate yourself around and look at the dummies, look at the dummies that are helping Democrats, you'll find black women getting their lives taken from them because there's an absence of testosterone and they want to just secure the bag of the Democratic agenda. Now, Dave just said the Democrats are about breaking up black families. So is that the reason why? I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying, is that the reason why I just did a video today about a woman named Shaquita, whatever the hell? It's loading up now. I'm going to release it at 1 o'clock. Is that the reason why these individuals are if you look around, those are the main ones going to jail for helping the Democrats? Why? Why? Is it the reason why when Donald Trump got into office, there was a woman of color warning her sisters about what's to come? Yeah, is that the reason why? Wow. I bet they did. Hold on a second, y'all. People, I'm gonna tell you, my name is fitting. I'm the hated one because individuals like when I talk, but they don't like when I talk and back it up. They be like, "Dag, I can't stand this nigger." They call me a nigger. I don't know why they call me a nigger. So I want y'all to do this, and then I'm out of here, y'all. Appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys for listening. I want y'all to listen to, not all of, but I want y'all to listen to. I guess they're gonna show me. I guess it's not playlist. I guess it ain't gonna show me. I had a video. I'm looking at my playlist and I don't bloody see it. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Let me see if it's in my 1500 liked video. Let me see if it's in my liked videos. I had a video, man. I had a video that I used to play, and I don't see it now. It's disappeared. It disappeared on me. Did I did I privatize it? Mm-mm. It's a video that's gonna bring my point home as to what I just said. Did I host it on this channel? Can I speak? I'm erected. It's to sleep before I strike. I didn't know the real deal until last night. I think I think it's I think it's falling under. I think it's falling under one of my privates when I folded up the channel, man. I don't see. Did I like it? Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I'm pissed right now. I'm a pissed now addict. Mm-mm. This is the last altercation I'll be on the street. See, honey, every club every week, and I speak. I'm erected as a streak before I strike. I ain't no real deal until last night. Mm-mm. Mm. She says, "What's up, y'all? It's the beautiful one. She's the beautiful one. I'm looking for this video about a beautiful one. And the beautiful one is telling um, individuals uh, um, about welfare. Wow. Well, I'm seeing a lot of good videos here that I can regurgitate some stuff on, but it's not here. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Not here. Not here. She says, "What's up, y'all? It's the beautiful one." And I actually just did it. I mentioned it. Uh, and I can't find it. I can't find it. I can't find it. Okay, well, nope, it's not here. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
The budget has been cut by hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars. The HUD department budget has been slashed. You may qualify for a 4-bedroom, but if you have a child, a female child that's under the age of 10, that child now has to sleep in a room with you. Also, if the children, even if there is a boy and a girl, and they under the age of 10, they gonna have to share the same room. Come January the 20th, everything that President Trump has elected to do, it is getting ready to take effect immediately. Hundreds of millions of dollars have now been slashed from the HUD department. So many of you are getting ready to lose your Section 8 vouchers. You become so comfortable with living a certain lifestyle, living in a certain type of house. I understand all of that because to come up, let me tell you something. Section 8 was only meant to be a stepping stone, not for you all to say you've not been on Section 8 20, 30 years. That's crippling yourselves. You place your own self in exile by remaining on Section 8 that damn long. You cannot do this. It is nobody's bragging rights to say that you have lived in public housing for 15, 20 years. That ain't no bragging right. Blatant stupidity. That's what that is. You oppress yourself to those living conditions. And now all of a sudden now y'all finna blame, you know what I'm saying? Now y'all finna blame Trump for all of this when you got comfortable while Barack Obama was in office. When the come up should have been you making strides to move yourself and your children up out of poverty. This is why I tell you all that organization and unification is so real in our race, but y'all taking advantage of situations that shouldn't even be happening.
So she said, y'all taking advantage of something that shouldn't be happening. So that woman just said, um, you Section 8 or whatever is supposed to have been the come up, but y'all messed around and been living off of it for 20 and 30 years. Come on, y'all. So how did that program, out of all the programs that has come and gone, how is it that just coincidentally the welfare program is the one that everybody get hooked on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You know how? Because they actually did the science on it. And it's not anything new. You want to control the people, all you got to do is just give them. That's all. Hey, listen, you want this? I can control you. All I have to do is give you. That's where we're at. That's what we will be. Hey, listen, man, I'm going to blow this joint, man. I really appreciate you guys. I will be back here tonight at 9 o'clock, man. Have your face in a place. Deshaun, thank you for that $10 contribution via my Cash App. I got 2 one-on-ones to do today, so I'm going to get at them individuals. I'll catch you guys tonight at 9. Have a good day, y'all.